And I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. One of the four beasts.
Hello folks, I'm Johnny Cashflow, and today we're going to talk about how profit is evil, and claiming that a company is profitable immediately makes their research and studies invalid.
Everything that guy just said is bullshit. Thank you.
During a recent debate on man-made climate change, I listed a number of sources to support my argument, one of which was Alex Epstein's Center for Industrialized Progress, link in the description. I presented my interpretation of Alex's arguments for the moral case for fossil fuels, and the only retort from my opponent, after he Googled Alex and the Center for Industrial Progress, was that they were a for-profit organization, and therefore their arguments were invalid. Therefore, my argument was invalid because Alex Epstein and the Center for Industrialized Progress is a for-profit company. I've heard this argument made a lot, and it's time I educated people on the realities of for-profit and non-profit organizations. First, a quick economic vocab lesson. There are three basic terms needed to understand basic economic financials. First is revenue. Revenue is the total income of a company, be it from sales, investments, or donations. Basically, however the company makes money, that's revenue. Second is cost. For the sake of this discussion, we're going to be talking about total cost, which is a specific economic term, but for the sake of brevity, we'll just say cost. Cost is every cent that the company must pay in order to conduct business. This ranges from taxes, rent, utilities, salaries, etc. When you take the total revenue and subtract the total cost, what's left is called profit.
I don't get it. You see, phase 1, collect underpants. Phase 2, phase 3, profit. Oh, I get it. No, you don't, fat ass.
Most people are ignorant about how businesses and capitalism in general operates. They see big corporations such as Walmart and McDonald's as greedy, profit-hungry conglomerates, and small mom-and-pop stores as morally superior. The reality is that both the large corporation and the small mom-and-pop store need profit in order to stay in business. Economists debate this topic, but generally speaking, a company needs to have sustainable growth of around 4 to 6% annually in order to stay in business. This means that a company's profit margin, or the ratio between revenue and cost, must be above or at least 4% just to stay in float. In order to expand, naturally a business must have a much larger profit margin. So with that explanation out of the way, let's get back to what constitutes a for-profit and non-profit. The specifics come down to the details of taxes and specific governmental allowances, but to the layman, all that needs to be understood is that a for-profit company accepts that it's making money and pays taxes on that, and non-profits find ways to effectively hide their profit in their costs. In other words, instead of declaring a profit on their taxes, they find ways to spend all of their revenue. How is this done? The most obvious way to hide profit is to increase salaries, commonly referred to as compensation within the nonprofit world, as to sound less like a for-profit business. You see, it's completely irrelevant that a business is for-profit or non-profit. The reality is that both worlds are businesses attempting to use the market to achieve a goal. The only difference is that one group has found a loophole to avoid paying taxes, all while appearing to be morally superior. Now you may be saying,
"But Johnny, non-profits do a lot of good in the world, and how can you say anything negative about them?"
well, first, I'm not saying anything negative about nonprofits. I'm simply admitting what they refuse to, and that is that they're a business. You may see that as a negative, but I do not. Secondly, there are tons of for-profit businesses which do a lot of good in the world as well, and they're still demonized. The Ronald McDonald House charity is one of the best charities in the world, providing housing free of charge to sick children's families while their children are hospitalized. But when I mentioned McDonald's earlier, did you not cringe a little? Or if you're a sane person, then imagine all of the hate for McDonald's that you see in the media, especially surrounding all the Fight for 15 labor union sponsored protests. When a person says non-profit, what comes to mind? Do you think of volunteers helping at a food drive, or maybe the March for Dimes or United Way? Do you think of the NFL? Since 1942 up until 2015, the NFL was a non-profit organization, along with the PGA and the NHL. For all of you hippie communists out there, do you think that Roger Goodall's $44 million salary was morally superior to any for-profit corporation's CEOs? I mean, I don't, but that's because I don't see profit as a negative. But that's the heart of this entire debate. The top 10 U.S. charities make revenues above $900 million, and the top charity, the United Way, makes a whopping $3.7 billion, and the CEO, Brian Gallagher, makes a salary of Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say a compensation of $1.2 million, including $387,000 for health insurance and retirement benefits. In fact, that's actually rather low compared to other nonprofits. Lawrence Hoagland Jr., Chief Investment Officer of the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, earns $2.5 million. John Seffrin, CEO of the American Cancer Society, earns $2.1 million. Roxanne Spillett, President of Boys and Girls Clubs of America, earns $1.8 million. And Emily Rafferty, President of the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, earns $1.5 million. Again, I don't have a problem with any of this because I'm not motivated by greed and jealousy of other people's accomplishments, but the pseudo-morally superior liberal who wants to denounce any argument against them using a for-profit organization's studies and findings is performing a laughable ad hominem which just doesn't stand up to scrutiny when their own standards are applied. All companies, be it McDonald's, the NFL, or the United Way, are all out to make a profit. The only difference is that some find ways to hide their profit in order to avoid paying taxes. And that, my friends, is called corporatism, which is the antithesis of free market capitalism. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Come join us tomorrow night, Wednesday, May 17th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for You Damn Millennials live stream with my co-host, Housetop. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
When the man comes around.